I'm about ready to get started. We are about to have ads, so I'm gonna wait a minute for those to play. Alrighty, ads should be done. How's it going? Welcome to my stream. I'm Gritsuit the Owlbear. I am doing an analysis of the gameplay mechanics and art style of Wind Waker, trying to recreate some of it in Godot. So, yeah, we're picking up where we left off on Tuesday. So we made this tiling grass texture, and we also made a tiling path texture. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate the grass and rename it path, and just swap out the texture on it for our tiling path. So the path, just before the stream started, actually, let's see. In Krita, I went ahead and I rotated everything 90 degrees, so it tiles horizontally, and that's mainly just because all the other trim textures will tile horizontally, so it just makes sense to keep them consistent. I did notice that that's how they did that in the actual Wind Waker. So I on the textures resources website, I found this which has some of the tiling textures, and you see the path tiles horizontally, and like you can kind of see here, like this top chunk is identical to this, so I'm pretty sure they did a similar thing to what we did, where where we just layered the path on top of the grass. And then they also have this circular path. So they almost did it more of how you do a sprite sheet, if that makes sense. Or like a tile sheet for an RPG Maker game or whatever. Let's look at tile sheet. So they have like, this isn't the best example because it's kind of just like screenshots of the entire thing, not the actual tile set. Okay, this is a better example. So like, so this is like the dynamic grass that you can cut down. Let's see. And then they have like, where is it? That's like the dungeon tile set. Yeah, so here they have like inner and outer corners. And then I think they just use almost like a solid color for the grass. Yeah, so they have like, these are the water edges. So they did a similar thing with these textures as that. Obviously they didn't make like all of the different sets because they don't really need it. You can do a lot with just like a curved section and or like a round section and a straight section. I feel like this shadow here is not something that is in the actual texture. I'm not sure what that is exactly. And then here we have like this is a tiling cliff that tiles vertically and horizontally. And it's got this grass line, so you can use that as the top or the bottom. So like the polygons in between would just be really stretched out probably. And I have like this tree. And here's the beach. So that kind of transitions from like this same color as the path into sand. And we got wood grain. I also found this on Polycount. Somebody was doing a similar breakdown. Here we go. So you can see a lot of these like trim sections. So like this, it's hard to tell like where the actual texture edges are and stuff. Like this is mirrored, so they only textured half of it, and you just overlap the UVs. Same with this. Like there's no sense in taking up twice the texture space with identical data. So you can kind of see all the like how all these textures are used. Like we have this square piece of trim, which is this here. And then they actually like modeled these like arch things. So those are using that same square piece of trim. And then I'm not entirely sure what those other pieces are using. They might not have included that in this example. And then like the windows, you can see there's some really stretched out polygons going into the windows, because you only see them from a distance, so it makes it look like it's deeper than it is. I don't think it actually needed to be that deep. Maybe they actually made it that deep to minimize the amount of stretching. They did a similar thing here. These are cool. These are probably from the Tower of the Gods, I would assume. Then we got like some foliage. So that's just like a sampling of the different textures that they have. And we obviously don't need to create that many. So I might do a similar thing to that circular circular path thing. Let's duplicate that. Oh, and actually, I need to correct this, I think, because I think this layer overlaps with the grass more than it should. So we just need to go in and like erase that out. Because we don't want the grass, we want the grass to look the same regardless of if it's the path or not. That might have been a little too much. Let's This one does not need to tile at all. Let's export this as path circle. And now let's make a new collection. We'll call it environment. And we'll add a plane. Yeah, hello. I'm just testing out some of these textures that I made. See if we can do anything interesting with them. So we'll call this material grass tiling. Yeah, we'll make it an image texture. How you doing, Fullbaka? I finally caught up on Doig and Swift's costume contest thing. Your work was great in there. It was really cool. I would have voted for you if I woke up early enough to watch their stream. I liked your Ghost Pirates. Alright, so here we have our tiling grass. I'm gonna make another texture for the path. You can kind of see a little bit of a seam there, but it lines up decently well. Oh, I'm freaking out a little bit. Or actually, it... I mean, it should tile both ways, but path tiling. And then yeah, did I actually re-export the path one? No, I did not. There we go. So this should that should tile correctly, and then yeah, so those line up. And then this one will be path circle image texture. All right. So if you are in edit mode and you have this correct face attributes turned on, I can extrude this. That's not working how I thought it would. So if I go in the UV editing here, switch this over. So you can kind of see how you can kind of tweak the UVs to make a path. And like we got some weird stretching happening, but that's like mostly okay. So then we would want to uncheck the correct face attribute there. GY. We want this snapping to be set to vertex. So that should make it so let's see. If we make sure that these edges here so as long as all of these vertices at the top line up with their, we should be able to just tile everything in between using the grass. So like if I were to extrude that out, join. If I subdivide that. And then these we're going to assign a new material. We're gonna assign our grass. And then we'll switch that to grass tiling. And then we'll say UV wrap. And we'll assign it to our grass texture. And then let's switch this back to increment. go ahead and make sure that these are all straight. And now you can see the, like, you can't really see the seam very well there. Why isn't that working? Actually, in a situation like this too, you would probably almost always have an edge loop here and here. and then you can use that to more easily so obviously, like, that's not perfect, but that's I feel like that's kind of a good example of how they would have done something like this. So if I export this as a GLTF, if we just call this do selected only, we'll call this ground test. No, it brought in the textures. I didn't need it to do that. And then let's I'll just use external materials. Let's see. Yeah. But like once I get it set up, it should be pretty easy. And they probably had some tools that they used for some of this stuff. Let's see. Path. Circle. Then let's see. Gonna delete those. I'm gonna re-export this without the textures because we already have them. Data, material. I think just placeholder. Okay, I think I do need to reassociate these. So that was path. Grass. That didn't do what I wanted it to. Alright, what if I drag it into the scene? What happens? Okay. interesting. Material. Images, none. That's what we needed. Yeah, it's really nice. This playlist. This is Coffee Date, Hyrule Cafe. Most of the music I play on stream is from Game Chops. Highly recommend their albums. They just came out with what was it called? I don't remember. Zelda's Lo-Fi Kingdom, which is really good. Re-input. There you go. Why did that not work? Okay. It does work when you import it, but because I set these to be triplanar, which we do not want anymore. Triplanar mapping is interesting. It's a way that you can like basically have the system automatically generate UVs based on like the size of the model. I think part of what makes it not look as good too is the textures in Wind Waker are much lower resolution. And I'm not sure if there's a way to I know in Unity there's a way to like set the maximum texture size, which would kind of crunch it down a little bit. But if I hop back into here, you can kind of see we did a kind of similar thing to what they did. I think Outset Island is a better example. So you see they have like the path tiles. They have it kind of changing widths and stuff, and then they have like this circular dirt patch. So they're using this same circular dirt patch. Wow, that's kind of interesting. So it looks like they used the edge of the path on this part. Maybe. It's hard to tell because the circle also has that edge. Or like here you can kind of see they had a triangle that's splitting this path into two. So we can kind of do a similar thing. If we were to, let's see. So if I unwrap this, and I unwrap this and this. Yo, how's it going? We are making textures that are reminiscent of Wind Waker, which we've been playing on the weekends. So you can kind of do some fun little tricky sort of things with these corners. And this will get assigned to the grass. And we're kind of screwing up our texel density, which is basically like how big a pixel of texture is on the screen. It's not a huge deal though. Okay, let's switch this back to path. Rotate that like that. Cool. And actually we can it's not too difficult. It's just a matter of like scaling the UVs and everything. So let's look at the, let's hop back over to here. So like you can kind of see like on this wall, it's really stretched out. So like a pixel of this this leaf is way smaller than a pixel of this. And it doesn't always matter a ton. It's just something to keep in mind. They probably could have made this rock tiling texture slightly higher resolution because it takes up more of the screen. So the pixels would be a little bit smaller and less blurry. Or they could have, they could have tiled it more, but then the tiling pattern becomes a little bit more noticeable. See, like, if I just like zoom in on this area here, I could stretch this out a lot. So the pixel of the pixels are really big, or you could shrink it, or pixels are really small, but they're stretched, or they're squashed or they're stretched. And you kind of just want to make sure that they're similar relative to what's around them. I don't know if I'm explaining that the best, but... And then another little trick that they do, I don't see a whole lot in this, but in a lot of other games they would at places where there is like really stretched or awkward looking textures, they'll just put like grass or a rock or just put an object over it that kind of covers it, distracts from it a little bit. A fence, stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. They almost treated it in a similar way to the pixel art, which I think is really smart. So that might actually be something I'd go back and change. I'm just kind of fiddling around trying to figure out how they did some of this stuff. I don't know why that isn't smoothed out. So while I was doing a little bit more research offline too, I found this blog post. I'll post a link to it if you're interested in taking a look at it. But it has stuff about how they did Link's Toon Shader and his expressions. So you can kind of see here some of the things that I showed on Tuesday where they're kind of showing how the UVs are laid out. This is something I didn't notice, but all his hair is shrunk down to this tiny little like 1 pixel section of this texture because it's all one color. It doesn't need to be more than a pixel. But yeah, here's the face with the different textures. The eye and the pupil are like, the pupil's slightly on top of the eye, but they just use a shader to make sure that the pupil looks like it's behind the eye, because they just use the alpha channel of the eye texture to clip it. And they can also scale and move the pupil by changing the UVs. So like if I hop back over to this one, let's see, let's hop back over to this. So if I grab both of the pupils, and hop into the pupil texture, like you could shrink them down, make them really big. So I was thinking through how they probably did having him look around, and it's a little bit complex, but I think I can kind of show it. Let me just gonna do a doodle on it. Just gonna move this down here. Switch over to my tablet view. So let's say like here's Link. He's got his sword, his eyes are here. And then there's some object in the world. Let's say it's like a torch, that it's like an important object that Link should be looking at. So so Link would have like a sphere attached to him, and when that sphere would gonna make that a new layer. If the sphere were to overlap with an object of interest, it would start calculating some things. So it would get a directional vector from Link to the object of interest, and then we have Link's eye texture. And so it will do some calculations to figure out, is Link facing the object of interest? And if he is, then we get the direction of his head relative to the position of the object of interest, and then because the eyes are on a grid, you can move them left and right or up and down based on what they would need to be to like actually be facing the object of interest. So I think I'm gonna try to do something like that for mine. So I'm gonna actually grab Link, and I'm just gonna drop him into Godot so we can start messing around with some stuff. I am gonna make my own character, but I'm not ready to do that yet, so we're just gonna use Link for now. And call this one Link, and we will include the textures because we need them. Simple in theory, but probably a pain to tune properly. I think having bounds to it is definitely key. Because like if you move it too far left or right, I can kind of show you what would happen here too. Alright, let's just grab one of them actually. Just do the left one. So if we move it too far to the right, it loops back onto itself. Same if we move it up and down. It'll loop back on itself. So I think we do want to extract the materials. And they're not named, obviously, which is annoying. Yeah, exactly. So let's go in here and make it have editable children. Let's make a materials folder. And we'll make a resource. And we'll call this Toon. New shader. Type visual shader. Let's rename this. First we'll make, I haven't done a whole lot with Godot's shaders, so bear with me. Toon shader and shader material. Toon material. I'll set the shader to shader. All right. Just kind of finding my way around in here. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at some shader documentation in here. Alright, that's like a distortion shader. Okay, so we're gonna need some way of getting the normal direction and the light direction. so that we get the dot product of the normal and the light direction. And we have to clamp that between 0 and 1. Thank you for the save reminder. I'll make sure I save my Blender as well. And my Krita. Wrong one. Alright. We're good. We're playing around with some Godot shaders. I'm trying to figure out how to make a toon shader in their visual shader editor. I might just have to write the code out myself, but I'm gonna do 0.01 and 0.1. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how. Let's try just a regular shader. Toon code shader. All right. So we are going to use this this light function. So the basic light function in 3D, it's the normal dot product light. So say clamp dot normal light, and we clamp it to 0.0 and 1.0, and then we do a smooth step. Of 0.01 and 0.1. We pass in n.l. We have a vector 3. Yeah, it is handy. So then we convert that resulting dot product into a vector 3. And then we add the result to diffuse slate. So if I switch this to the code version of that, it looks messed up. Why is that? Let's add a sphere into our scene just so we can see mesh instance, sphere. Okay. So that is the basics of a toon shader. So like if I go back in here and change this to 0.03, instead of 0.1, we get a sharper transition. So like if it's 0 and 1, we get kind of just our regular diffuse. Let's see if we can figure out how to drop our textures in here. So let's so if we playing around in Godot, making a toon shader. Color. And in our fragments. Yeah, I'm following a tutorial by Balder Games. They have a tutorial on how to do like a full Breath of the Wild style shader, but I'm kind of just picking and choosing to get a similar look to our Wind Waker shader. Alright, I broke something. Because main color is black. So how do I add a texture? Let's see if that does anything. No, it doesn't like that. All right, let's see. Okay, we need a sampler 2D. And the hint will be it doesn't like that. Alright, what if we just don't put the hint there? And then we'll just multiply the color by the I'll need the texture. Oh, okay. With the UVs passed in. .rgb. Alright, that should give us, I think, almost everything we need. I need that. There we go. So now we can make Link's texture or make Link's material use that toon shader that we just made. So Link body. Now we go in here and surface 0 material. Shader material, and we'll call it Link body, and we'll throw that toon shader, make that white, and then I might have goofed something up. All right, we'll duplicate this. Link mouth. And we'll swap this. All right, thanks. Thanks for hanging. Have a good one. Swap that for the sheath. I'll throw that on there. So I think some of this is looking funky just because the lighting is extreme. So like if I... maybe not. And then let's see. If we actually look at we look at an actual screenshot of Wind Waker for the GameCube, I don't think his eyes or his eyebrows are affected by lighting at all. So I think that's just an unlit material. And we're getting some funky shading on his mouth because it is a separate mesh. Oh no, it's not using the same shader. It's not using the Toon shader. Okay. Why is it so blown out? Maybe it's the world environment. If I just turn all this off. Alright, so I'm going to make a shader, and we'll call this unlit. We'll make a shader material. This will be I. So we'll have a uniform sample 2D then in the fragment, we'll just say okay. Oh, okay. So I think it's looking funky because it still is using the is still using the physically based shading. So if I say color is equal to, if I switch this from albedo to color, okay, so if I just looked it up really quick. So if I say render mode unshaded, there we go. Link I1. Okay, so what if I go in the toon shader and say that it's unlit? This light function probably won't work. Okay, no, that's not what we want. Wow, what if we just say diffuse Lambert? Old school. It's still bright. Diffuse tune. All right. Alright, I'm going to duplicate the eye, call it pupil. So we're gonna need a specific, I'll need a specific shader for eyebrow and pupil. Okay, so pupil, we'll use pupil. And then I need to make an eyebrow one as well. And the eyebrow shader, or the eyebrow material should use eyebrow shader. Okay. So the eyebrow one will be a little bit more complex. The pupil one, let's see, pupil. We need a sampler to so we are going to say render mode probably just unshaded. And let's say albedo equal to texture let's see. So, I think they call it scissor in so we're gonna have another texture that is just it'll be the same texture that the eyes are using, and it'll use that shape to clip the pupils. It isn't like that. Oh, I just misspelled sampler. Oh, we just have an alpha that we can just grab. Cool. So I can just say alpha equals that. Cool. Oh, weird. Screwed something up. I think, maybe. What if I subtract them? Okay, that's not quite right. Okay, for now I'll just say it's pupa alpha. What if it's pupil alpha minus I alpha? Nope. I haven't been paying attention to my ads, but I think I need to wrap up in a little bit. We got some cool stuff done today. I'll go ahead and save. Okay, this is gonna be a little silly. Let's just try this. So we'll do 1 minus I mask or I alpha plus people alpha. Nope. Yeah, thanks. I'm not great with shaders and I'm learning a ton, so it's all good. I'll figure out how to do alpha clipping next week and see if we can make some improvements to this lighting because it's very harsh, but progress. Alright, let's find somebody to raid. We got some Ghibli. Alright, we'll raid Playframe. They looks like they just started a little bit ago. Oh, no. I can never tell if it's in minutes or hours. It's probably in hours. So yeah, we'll raid Playframe. They're talking about top 100 greatest games of all time. That seems cool. So yeah, have a good one. I'll be back on Saturday with more playing of Wind Waker. So have a great rest of your week. And if I don't see you on Saturday, have a great weekend. Bye.